Okay, so in this video I'm going to be taping for turf toe, which is a hyperextension sprain of these ligaments down on the bottom of the foot around the first metatarsal. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some pre-wrap. I'm going to wrap around the foot. Just a few times and work our way up towards the toe. And then once we get up here, we're going to go try to put a little spica. Maybe one more around. Try to put a spica here around the big toe, which normally you would want to tape directly to the skin for maximum support. So we're going to start with our anchor strip. Normally you'd want to use something like a conform or a tenoplast for this bottom anchor. But I don't have any of that, so I'm just going to use a normal white tape. 1.5 inch white tape for my anchor. And then I'm going to use my makeshift 1 inch or 3/4 inch tape to put an anchor directly around the big toe. So I'm just going to find that interphalangeal joint and just lay that on there. I don't really want any tension. Just going to lay this anchor on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, right before I start my banana strips, I'm going to take my normal 1.5 inch tape. And I'm going to put a big banana strip or a support strip here along the bottom of the foot. I'm going to go just from that anchor on the big toe down in line with the first metatarsal and up around the bottom of the back of the heel to kind of be able to hold itself into place. And hopefully that's going to do a lot to help keep this toe into a flex type position as opposed to a hyperextended position. Now I'm going to go back to my makeshift 1 inch, and this is where I'm going to put my banana strips. I'm going to put them up here on this anchor. And what this is, the main reason for these banana strips is to give this tape job some bulk, give it a little bit of mass. And offer a little bit more support. Couple more of these banana strips. We'll put one more here on the bottom. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our 1.5 regular 1.5-inch tape, and we're gonna do a bunch of C strips to close in all the, or try to close in all these, bunch of these loose ends and help lock these banana strips into place. And again, these are just C strips. These are not complete circular strips, so we're not creating a whole bunch of tension on these metatarsals. Now we're going to want to put our spikers in. I'm going to go back to our 1-inch or our 3/4 inch. We're going to take off a pretty good sized roll, a pretty good sized strip. And we're going to want to create an X with this spica. We're going to floss it down here in between. We're going to put it right about at that anchor of the big toe. We're going to try to find that angle. We're going to pull it down the bottom of the foot, and we want our X right here because that's where our line of pull is going to be. And again, turf toe is a hyperextension injury, so we want that line of pull to be this way to resist that hyperextension mechanism. I'm going to do one more. You can do 1, 2, or 3. Usually you'd want to do more than one just to offer a little bit more support. So I'm going to put at least 2 in here. You can layer those just a little bit higher so they're not sitting directly on top of each other. You get a little bit more support. You find that angle. Now we're going to take our 1.5 inch and we're going to close back in. Once again, we're going to close in those spikers. Make sure they're nice and locked in. They're not going anywhere. And these are just C strips once again. Don't want any kind of tension on them, and we don't really need to close them all the way. Just a couple of them to help lock in those spikers. And now this is where we would take our, we would take some conform or some tenoplast and we would want to close it all up. But I'm just going to use Power Flex because that's all I have on hand right now. We're going to take, we'll start down here. And we're just laying that on. If we want to, if we get that angle right, we can come up here and try to get us another spica. And this will take a little bit of work trying to get that angle, not create any wrinkles. It's kind of tough with this 1.5 inch. So you might have to fold it, create a couple wrinkles by design. Make sure we're not putting a whole lot of tension on because we want to keep good circulation in that toe. So we're going to pull it out and just lay it on. We're going to finish right there on top of the foot. And like always, we're going to close with a couple strips of white tape just to make sure that's not going anywhere. And again, we have the end of our tape here on the top of the foot facing the athlete, so it'll be easier for them to find when they're trying to take it off. And hopefully we limited range of motion for extension of this big toe, we want it to be in a little bit of a flexed position so that mechanism of injury does not happen again. And that was turf toe.